So I'm going to do with a kitten hanging off me and one glaring from over there. Actually, she's quite happy. We've just had Bessie's apple pie, the frozen one, not all of it. I've had about a quarter with some Jude's vegan custard, vanilla custard, and I tell you, oh, it's gorgeous. Even she behind Miss Minnie on the back there, she loves it, the custard. I've had Percy enjoying the custard. He's in a custard snooze fest right now. I don't know if you can see him. You'll see a bit of him. And then this is Cosmo. We don't get to see him very often because he's usually hiding. He's a gorgeous boy. This is the one that needs his bits removing. Sorry, darling, I don't like to label you. But you're the one who's waiting to have the op. Fingers crossed, because he's like a right little sex machine at the minute. He's like, hey, yeah, I'm the man. Aren't you? You're a little boy, and it's like, oh, yeah. Of course, Percy's the one that's like the ladies' man. He goes up to everybody and headbutts them all, whether they like it or not. And I think because Mr. Cosmo's a bit, or as I call him, Little Mo. Little Mo. Yeah. Because he's sort of a bit feeling fruity. And he's only little, so he can't really, he'll get a battering from her at the back. She's like, get away. Reminds me of Nora Batty and Compo. It's so funny. So yeah, she's having none of it. She's like the older lady. She's like, get off with you. And then we've got Elsa that's in the middle. She's not a baby, but she's not an old lady either. She's far from it. She's too nimble. She's too, like, soon sorts them out. She gives them a bit of this, don't behave, type of thing. And then there's Luna, who's like, she was the baby, and she's about the sort, well, not quite his height, but he's having it's like, he just feels very amorous at the moment, every now and again. So, because he's been wanting some, it's like she's feeling a bit mardy, a bit out of sorts. So she's given poor Percy a bit of, I think it's Percy, because yesterday when I come back from shopping, I noticed very, very, like, dark pink in the corner of his eye, and I thought, what the chuff's he done? And it does look like there's a tiny scratch mark, so I think he's been jabbed in the eye, and it's just maybe caught him on the tip and maybe just given his eyeball a bit of a going. I'm putting some of his eye gel in that he's had for his conjunctivitis, so I think with a bit of luck of sorting that out over a few days, because I've got a fair bit in that tube left, and then a bit of hot water on a bit of tissue and just keep bathing the eye. Hopefully it should be alright once he's had a couple of days. If not, he's going to have to come down the vets. I'll be like, bloody hell, not again. So we shall see. But hey ho, what a start to February. Hey? Got this one here waiting to have his operation. That's next week. He doesn't know yet. I'm not looking forward to going again, because we're going slightly later. Because when we went, they phoned me up. I dropped them in at 8:30 in the morning. Made absolutely zero sense, to be honest, dropping them in that early. And then I got the phone call of about 10 o'clock, 10:30. Like, oh, we've done a check of the kittens, and Percy's totally fine. He's going to be, given the anaesthetic in just a minute. But unfortunately, Cosmo's got a bit of a murmur to his heart, and it's going a bit crazy. So we can't put him under unless you want him to, but there is a risk of him dying on the table. How about we wait a few weeks and we'll go again? So I was like, okay, no problem. And then I've had a bit of a brainwave, you see, because I know my cats. And it's like, I said, well, it was a good couple of hours from when I dropped them off to the appointment. To when they've decided to have a look at them. Sitting somewhere strange for like 2 hours with God knows what other animals might be around. There might be a big dog in another crate or something. It's just strange, and people they don't know, and he's quite a skittish lad. He's very, very shy. So yeah, I thought he ain't gonna like it. I mean, it's like if I had to leave. I know Alfie, he's exactly the same. He's very, very nervous, shall we say, as is Luna. In fact, all my black cats are all the same. They're all very skittish. They're all very nervous. Although Elsa and Alfie are sort of very, very nervous because of all the abuse that's gone on and what my delightful ex used to be like with the cats. I mean, he'd spray them, he'd shout at them, he'd slam the doors. It's just the mood. It's, throwing stuff around, the glares, the shouting, the smashing stuff up. Really frightened them. And people don't understand when I say, that they've got anxiety. It's like, you are? The cats, how can they have anxiety? And I said, but they can. It's like they can have dementia and depression and all the rest of it. They can. They've had a trauma. It's like Minnie, who's snoring behind me quite nicely. I mean, she has been through an awful lot. She was the worst one of the lot, actually, when we moved. She hid herself away behind a picture. She didn't want to come out. This is when the removal guys were doing all the moving around upstairs, and she was terrible. She was the worst of the lot. And then when I had to get her in the carrier, oh my God, it was awful. So that was that. And then Gizmo has always been skittish because my then husband at the time, when he was very, very tiny, used to throw him around. He was drunk. He used to throw him down the stairs. He smashed him against doors. All sorts of stuff. So Gizmo has always been a mummy's boy. Always been. He's always hidden when people have come past where we used to live, past the gate. And they weren't even coming up the path and that. He used to run upstairs and hide. Thankfully, that side of things seems to have really, really calmed down. It's only when we get, people come round that he doesn't know, like workmen and stuff, that he hides. He'll hide behind the sofa, or in my bed, or anything like that. So that's that. But yeah, so not only have I been through it and my son's been through it, but these guys have been through it as well. Luna, we got after the abuse had ended. Luna was like a really tiny little kitten, and my son used to work in a chip shop, just washing up. And he phoned me and he said, Mom, I said no more cats. He says, forget all that. He says, can I show you some pictures? And it was like, so he sent me some photographs of this little kitten. And it's like, she's called Nutmeg and she's gorgeous. And I didn't like the name Nutmeg. It just didn't suit her. Anyway, it was like, it says, can so-and-so bring her over? And I was like, okay. So anyway, she brought Luna over. She says, I know that she'd go to a good home. And yeah, she was totally fine. The other cats were like chasing her and stuff to start off with, but she was quite ballsy. I mean, she'd like, hide underneath cupboards and things because she could fit nicely. And it was very cute what she was like. I remember the first night she slept with me. She just climbed into the bed and snugged up. It was so cute. But she was the first thing that made my son smile. And I thought, how can I say no? At the time, it was like, oh, it's a bit of a push. We just lost one of our cats. And it was like, can we do it? And I thought, you know what, sod it. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll manage. Somehow we always manage. I'll just tighten the belts a bit more. Yeah, so everything was fine. And then when we had to move here, I mean, she's been very skittish. And it's only now when we've been here, 15, nearly 16 months, that she's starting to now come out of her shell. And that anxiety seems to have calmed down. She's got like what looks like a bald patch where her tail is because she used to do a lot of excessive licking. But it's all grown back like a silvery colour. So it looks like she's bald, but she's not. She has got fur. But it is just anxiety. We did do the plugins. We did the, well, not Feely Way, the other one. I can't remember. Pet Remedy, that's it. It's funny how things just come to you. Don't know what it's called. Pet Remedy. That's it. Yeah, so she's, I've used that. It worked for a bit. And then we lost we lost Bob first, the ginger one. So we moved in the August, and then in November he had kidney failure. And he went downhill very quickly. It was awful. He was my little best mate. He literally was with me everywhere. And I just adored him. There was just something very special about him. I mean, all my cats I love to pieces, but he had that something about him that just made him stand out. And I just loved him, I love all my cats, like I said, but he had something unique to him. And he just knew when I was feeling really anxious and stuff. He used to just come running over and sit on me, and he'd be there licking my hands when my hands were all sore and stuff like that. And it just would be a big comfort. So yeah, we lost him, and then the following November we lost Charlie, Mr. Charlie, who was the alpha male to this place, to these cats. From the very beginning he was a big character. He really was the one in charge. And he was just adorable. And then he was like, we noticed that he had rotten teeth, but they couldn't operate on him because he had heart issues, and also he had thyroid issues. So it was a case of can't operate until he's put enough weight on. Look at this. Till he's put more weight on. So, and it just never happened. And I knew it wasn't going to happen. I kept saying to the receptionist, this isn't going to happen. He's not going to have the op. But I hoped that one day he may be well enough to be able to do it. But no, I knew he wouldn't. So anyway, we, several years of giving him this stuff down his neck every day, twice a day. You do what you do for them, and then eventually I noticed that, like with other cats as well that I've had previously, that the thyroid meds works for so long, and then eventually it's like the medicine stops working. So it was just a case of making him comfortable, and besides at that point he'd had enough taking this shit all the while. And then the last time we went for bloods, because they take the bloods out of the neck which is really, really horrible. He was like, I'm not having this. So he backed them away and stuff, and he really fought them. And I thought, this is the last time we're having that done. You know, it's painful for him, stress. So I thought, no, that's it, forget it. So anyway, I decided just to forget the whole thing, and we just made him comfortable. And then November, he was really, really declining rapidly. And then he was having fits, and fit after fit after fit after fit. And I was like, that's it. This isn't fair. And then I phoned up, well, made an appointment actually, because I wanted to get into the local vet that's down the road, rather than the one that, of their practice that's quite a drive away. I thought, I'm not taking him in the car. I did that with Bob, and I didn't feel happy doing that then, because they had no slots. So yeah, I just basically held off until the next available time that I could get him in, and I booked him in. And I thought, right, so yeah, I was booked in for the Wednesday morning. On the Tuesday evening, he had fit after fit after fit after fit, and it was just awful. And all these cats, I mean, I did film it because it was just so bizarre, but I didn't want to focus too much on Charlie because he just looked so well, like sleepy, but like as if he was going to pass away at any minute, but he didn't. Yeah, so that's what I did. It was weird. These cats, they were all in the room and they all surrounded him, watching him and just being with him. They just lay beside him. You know, it was the most strangest thing I've ever seen. So I've never experienced that with any of my cats, and I've had quite a few that were senior cats that were sort of very bossy, and definitely the alpha female rather than the alpha male. Yeah, but Charlie was something else. He really was. He was just a one-off. He was just incredible, and he had the best life. And then of course, shortly after he passed, this place just felt so empty because he was just so vocal. He was vocal all the time, and I just decided, right, I think we need to get a little playmate for Luna. And I only was going to get one, but then I'd spotted one that I looked at and thought, oh my God, yeah, that's mine. That's the one. And that was Percy. And then, but Adam had spotted Cosmo, first and foremost, and was like, can I get him? And I was like, I'd love to get the both of them. And Adam was like, well, if you want, you know. So these two have just really, really filled a hole in this home. They really, really have. But I'm just hoping that little Cosmo, gets the operation, because he's absolutely, you know, he's gagging for it, for want of the better word. He really is. I don't like seeing him like this, because he doesn't understand why he's so like hormonal. So I just would like to have him comfortable again. So fingers crossed the op will get to go ahead next week. I think it's trying to find the date. I'll have to have a look and see if I can find it in my bag. If not, I'll give them a ring tomorrow and ask them. They're quite used to me. I always forget what date that they're due in for an appointment. So, right, let's get on to Fern Cotton. You're going to sit there then. Okay, I'm going to have to try and manoeuvre a phone, a book, and a kitten. Ooh. So yeah, this is the happy journal. Sometimes I don't feel very happy. Feel very hormonal myself. I've been feeling really, really stressed and everything because I had just about to see me there. So I was trying to manoeuvre and just sort of see the top of my eyeballs. Yeah, I just thought I've been to the doctor's today and to see the nurse, and she says I've done the right thing being booked in, but it's just waiting on the appointment now until I can get in, unless I get in an appointment in with one of the doctors. But I've got to ring like 8 o'clock in the morning, and unfortunately, oh god, my leg's gone dead. Chaz, I've got pins and needles. My right leg's just gone completely numb. So I can't stand up for a bit, guys, just to get on my chair. Anyway, so we're on February now. Can't believe it. Where did January go, eh? Right, Wednesday the 1st of February. Welcome to the month of love. What do you love the most? And I'm like, I love those close to me, my parents, my son, and my cats. I love how far I have come in my journey after abuse. Finding me again, choosing to love myself and give me some self-care. I love being vegan. I've been vegan 3 years. Such an easy, selfless thing. Sometimes I struggle with my own writing, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm like, what does that say? Then I love gardening when I get out there. At the minute it's too cold. I love my flat. I love the fact that I've got this place. It's like a complete blank canvas and start again. Away from the memories in that place, the house that I had, with all the doors having fists marks through them and kick marks through them, and just memories, you know. Every time I sit in the living room and think to myself, this is what, you know, look over there, at a trigger, he did this to me, he did that to me over there. I've got rid of the sofa, most of the furnishings have gone. There's only a couple of items that are here at the moment, but eventually they will go as well. It's weird how you can look at an item of furniture and you can just have a memory linked to that item. You can remember what you were doing when you got it. Yeah, it's weird. It just takes you back. And I think I don't want things hooked on with memory. I want them gone, unless it's a nice memory and it's nothing to do with time that I had with him, my last abuser. Yeah, I just want to let go of all the bad stuff. So it's like I've got rid of a lot of things. I mean, my power chair went last year, and I replaced it with this one. I've, new sofa. Well, not new, but new to me sofa. Chairs that I've got. One of them is very, very holy now, thanks to the cats. And their pedicure, manicure days on the chair. Oh god, my foot, my leg. The whole of my right side of me has just gone completely dead. I don't know, I don't like that. And I'm not sat like on my foot or anything, or it's just weird. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just loving this place, and I cannot wait to get decorated. and have like all the stuff that I've bought to go on the walls and have it up and just change how this place looks. I can't wait to do that. I've got some paper, I've got to get the paint yet. But at the minute I can't do anything. And then the carpet out in the hallway is just disgusting. It wasn't very nice when we moved in, but it was gifted to us. What a joy, eh? The council did. Giving us some manky carpet. I'd have rather had nothing down than that, but you sometimes just got to go with it. You don't have a choice. Oh my God, my leg. It is, honestly, it's like pins and needles throughout the whole of my leg. I don't understand it. And then I've got a kitten hanging off the other arm. I don't know. But yeah, I want to get some flooring put down, and you know, I really can't wait to do all this. But until they've been and they've done all the adaptions and everything and done all the building work, because obviously can't put flooring down and then they widen the doorways, so then it's just going to make a mess of everything that's down. So I'd rather wait, to be honest. I'd rather wait and just see what can be done, and start afresh after it's all been done, and be all excited and maybe get some new bits of furniture in, and you know, that kind of stuff. We'll see, because yeah, I've got a couple of things, a couple of chairs that I look at and I think they're starting to look a bit past the best. I could either just cover them with throws or stretch fabric, but these cats aren't going to keep them good for long anyway. One was given me and the other one was very cheaply bought from Marketplace on Facebook. So, and I don't like to buy expensive stuff because these cats will probably destroy it. So, but I've always bought stuff second hand. I'm quite happy with that. You know, it's very rare that I've got anything that's new. But that's just me. I just like to try and save a bit of money, and if it looks nice, I think, what's the issue? Plus it's already built and stuff as well. You know, you've not got any faffing around with flat packs. I mean, how some of this furniture I got in my car, I'll never know. With my son hanging on to the one end and it virtually hanging out the other end of the car is beyond me. But I've got some cracking pieces of furniture, thanks to my son and his help. Yeah, it's just the bedroom I really want to get sorted out. That is just a mess and a half. And then my son's room as well needs a bit of work doing to it. It needs some furniture, new stuff in there. Space saving stuff, you know, things that he can put on the walls and make it look fabulous. And I'd love to do a trip to IKEA. I'm really hopeful that I can do a drive down and we can have a look round and see what's needed and go and get it. So that would be fantastic. Yeah, I just love my fresh start. My the fresh start that we've got here, the fact that it's all new to us. You know, it just feels like home and I love it. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. You know, it's lovely, it's roomy, and yeah, I just love it. It's perfect. Can't believe I've got it. It'll be 2 years we've moved in August. And I just, you know, I love it. I love where I am. I love my home. And, you know, the kitchen, I can't wait till I see that adapted and all these extra bits and pieces sorted out now. Because it's absolutely desperate sorted. But I've got the appointment next week. So, happy days. Woohoo. Anyway, the 2nd of February, I've put is a trigger question. How do you feel when you are in love? And then I rephrased it, how did I feel when I was in love? I felt happy. I felt bubbly inside. I felt like I was safe. It's quite ironic, isn't it? You feel like you're safe, that they aren't gonna, that they're not going to be a bad person. They're going to be a great person, and you completely. I was love bombed by the last one, well and truly. I felt like I wasn't alone because I hated being on my own, and that's why I jumped from relationship to relationship. I seemed to have that that aura about me, maybe, that needed someone. And yeah, I think Plenty of Fish is one of the worst things you can go on when you're on your own and looking for that special someone, because they ask you all sorts of questions of like, do you want to get married at some point? Do you want to have children? Do you want this? Yeah. So it's like you've sort of setting yourself up for a narcissistic one, because they future plan for you, and that's how they pull you in. Yeah, and my last one, he went for women that had children. It's weird now looking back. But yeah, I hated being on my own. I was terrified of being on my own. I didn't want to be on my own, but now it's like I don't want anybody else. I don't want a relationship. I don't feel like I could trust a man ever again. I feel like all I'm doing is attracting the like after like after like. Nothing changes for me. I've had 5 bad relationships, all abusive, back to back. Whether they've involved drink, 9 times out of 10 they did. There's only one that didn't drink, but he was just a vile piece of shit. That was the most ugliest looking man I've ever met in my life, to be honest. But he really, really loved himself. And somehow he attracted the women, but he always went for women that were disabled, that had, health problems, and so he could get what he could out of them. It's sick. Yeah. And that's the one that proposed to me, where I used to work. He took, he literally got down on one knee, proposed in front of a shop full of people, and loads of people that worked with me were there watching, and like, yay, when because it's like, oh, I've got to say yes. What can I say? I can't turn around and say no with everybody looking. I went with the moment, but I had no intention of marrying him. I mean, he was Mr. Oh, when I got married, I did everything on the cheap. I bought everything off eBay. I got my suit off eBay. She had her dress off eBay. I got the rings off eBay. I thought, yeah, why am I not surprised? And then he lost her children. Had the kids took off her because he slapped a couple of her children, and she got report. Yeah, the little girl went to school with a bruise on her legs, with bruises, and social services got involved, and the kids had gone to school. They never went home, all because of him. And then they weren't allowed alone. They had to have supervised visits. He wasn't allowed to touch the children, wasn't allowed to wash the little girl's hands or anything, he says. But she never got them back whilst he was with her. Yeah, I had somebody that was messaging me saying, oh, he's a bad egg, don't go for him, and all the rest of it. And he used to say, oh, she's crazy. take no notice, block her, delete her and all the rest of it. And yeah, some woman on private message, and I did. I deleted and blocked, because you do. And that's why I always say, you know, if you know that your ex is now with somebody else and you bump into them, don't go racing over saying, oh, he used to knock me about, or he used to do this, or he got me sign up for a loan and all the rest of it. He took all my money. He'd do this and he did that. Run while you can, because all they do is make out that you're mad. They do. So yeah, I did it once. I couldn't help myself. I mean, I was coming away from Asda and he was going in with her, this new woman, and I put my stuff in the car, and that at the time I was still walking, but I was struggling to walk. I was in a lot of pain with a stick, and I pushed myself to catch them up. I was in so much pain. And I told her, I said what he was like, and she just looked at me all blank, and I thought perhaps she probably knew what he was like, but it was, yeah, and then he was like, oh, she's crazy, she's mad, and all the rest of it, ignore her. And I thought, well, I've done my bit now, I've done all I can. The rest is up to her. I'm sure the penny will drop eventually herself. So, but anyway, so yeah, I don't want to be with anybody anymore. I'm quite happy on my own. I've got my son, I've got my cats. I'm trying to sort of rebuild myself, hence why I'm doing this book. You know, so I'm turning things around for myself. So, and undoing what I've been sort of taught to myself, you know. Don't leave money lying around, don't do this, don't do that, he'll take it. And then him spending my money and getting me further and further into debt, so I wasn't able to pay off my overdraft anymore. You know, and so it goes on. So yeah, I'm like, besides, where the hell am I going to put my wigs if I was to have a new man in my life and haven't moved in? You know what I mean? All my wigs would have to go because they need a wardrobe for his clothes. No. So no, I'm quite happy. You know, I've got my bits where I want them, and I'm looking forward to sort of deciding where to put things when it comes to decorating. So that's going to be really, really exciting. First time I've been able to do this, because I've always had, it's like my first husband, when we moved in, our house was a brand new build. We watched it being built. He even dictated where things went with the builds and everything, because he was local with work, travelling down. And then when we moved again, oh yeah, he made sure, oh, I want this there and that there and this like this. And they did it, because money talks at the end of the day as well. And he wasn't a good money, you know, good wage. But when it came to the decorating, I was like, I'd love this colour and that colour. What about this one? Oh, no, we're not having that. You know, that kind of a thing. So for the first time, I'm going to be able to really enjoy having the place decorated and the flooring in the hallway done to how I would like it to be. And I can't bloody wait. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I felt like I wasn't alone. And that was a nice feeling. It's somebody to talk to, someone to share things with, do things with, until they sort of want to be with you literally 24/7. So like you step outside, you want to nip out for a bit on your own. Even when I started going to a few things like Weight Watchers, he used to have to come with me because he was adamant that I was up to something behind his back. And when I went to a class, he was adamant that I was up to something then and come with me and sit outside, but then he wanted money for beer as well. That was something else. I had someone that enjoyed being with me. Yeah, suffocating me. Making me feel like I couldn't do anything on my own. And when I did when I was able to do something on my own, I panicked because I didn't know how to be on my own. It's like when I got rid of him and the first trip out, and me and my son, my son come with me everywhere to give me a hand because I was such a mess. And I went to the petrol station and it was one of those auto petrol pumps, and I was frightened to put my card in case it took what was there on the display, and I really was frightened. And I was like, I ended up driving to another petrol station. I did. I was so frightened that it was going to take my money but it was thinking about it when I got home. It was like, that's the total for the previous person. Of course, it's not going to take that. But I got in such a state, and then we had power cut as well, and I didn't know how to switch the outside lights off. They kept staying on, and I was frightened of the electric going into hundreds of pounds because these lights were still on. And I googled it and I was able to do it. So some of the things where I used to think, I can't do this, I don't know how to do it, maybe I should message him to ask him, and I think, no, you're not going to do that. The first few times of a couple of things I did because I didn't know how to do some things that he used to do, and he loved it. And then, of course, he wanted to meet up and let's meet at the garden centre. Your son won't know. Let's do this, let's do that. And I did it for a bit. And then an online counsellor, she said to me, she says, how does he make you feel when you turn up to see him? And I says, I feel really panicky, I feel sick. I just want to get away. And she said, then I think you know what you need to do, don't you? And I said, yeah, stop seeing him. Stop having any contact because it's not helping my recovery. And she was like, exactly. So that's exactly what I did. He brought me some gifts. He'd been away on holiday and he brought me some gifts, and all I did was I rounded them up in this bag. They never left the bag, to be honest. They were chucked in the back of the car, and then when I got back home I just threw them in the bin. And it was such a big relief. It was like throwing him in the bin. Yeah, I had someone that enjoyed being with me, that I could share future with, could have a laugh with. Well, the laughs turned to tears, especially when he used to throw stuff. So I used to go in a temper and we'd go shopping because he couldn't have money for booze. And he used to throw things in the trolley and make the shopping really, really expensive. So I'd have a huge shock at the end. I know on one occasion he had a bottle of scotch that he chucked in. He doesn't drink scotch, but he did it just to bump my bill up to about extra 30 quid. Because it was one of these really, really expensive ones. I thought he was a support, yeah. But he wasn't. Yeah, I'll never forget it. We came out from Tesco's. I was in shock with how much the shopping come to, and he was smirking and laughing and just evil looking in the face. And then he threw literally the items one at a time from the trolley into the back of the car. How yogurt pots and things didn't explode in the back of the car, I don't know. He did, he just chucked it all in, and people were walking past. I was crying, he was laughing. And then he got hold of my my scooter, and he threw it in the boot. And something snapped off on it. I remember that. It was awful, and people looking at me, wanting to say something, wanting to get involved. But they were scared to. You know, people don't like to interfere. And it's horrible. I just wanted the world to just swallow me up, but hey. And then he used to drive back really, really dangerously. He'd swerve the car to frighten me. Or he'd do emergency stops and stuff like that. So, it's not love, is it? It hurts being in love. I was mentally and physically ripped apart. I could never go through it again. I just think if that's what love is, when you've gone through all that, mentally abused, raped, mine raped me, I will admit it, he did, he forced himself on me. He threatened just before, this was what tipped me over the edge to my biggest, I wanted him out of my life. I'd been recovering from severe cellulitis, so I couldn't function on my own, and I was struggling on my own. I'd been in hospital for sepsis as well, which really did nearly kill me. My leg was like a burnt piece of meat. I needed him around as a sort of support, better than nothing type of thing. And then when I felt strong enough to do it, I just gave the ulterior motive, right, I want you out with all your stuff. May. And that was that. You know, the night that the night before, because he used to go off to the pub and then he'd come back, and he should have been packing his clothing up and any bits and pieces of his that were there. But he didn't. And he had, I remember he came right in my face. Because he used to always tell me to go to bed. Don't want to see you, go to bed. Like a naughty child, like they've done something wrong, like you're something disgusting, go to bed. And I went upstairs just to get away from him. I used to hear him screaming and shouting at the cats. And I remember he come upstairs and he just, the big thing was, he said to me, he says, that I'm gonna basically slash your throat whilst you're asleep. Yeah. And he was just plain evil. The face in him was just awful. And I never slept the entire night when he came up to the bed, because he had the telly on super, super loud. Obviously on purpose. And then when he come upstairs to bed, you know, I mean, he was like, he'd put the lights on, he'd do stomp around, slam doors, do this, do that, he'd shout. Oh, it was awful. And then that was it for me when he said all that. And then the next day he was all, oh, I didn't mean it. It was a joke. I didn't mean it. I wasn't serious. And then I'd said, I want you gone. I says, I meant what I said. I want you out. I'm gone. And he had a bag that he put out. And then he went, I remember forcing himself on me. And then he went off to the pub. And I wanted to lock the door and stuff, but I thought, what's the point? He just was worried about my car and my scooter that was outside, and the fact that when he come back in, he'd be really, really angry. And when he come back in, I said, you should be packing, not going out drinking. And he lost it. He smashed, all my curtain poles were all bent up. He went outside, he was kicking my Beetle, that was my pride and joy, even though I couldn't use it because I had a Motability car. Sorry, I didn't realise that I'd moved the phone away, but it didn't really matter. Yeah, I've got it all kept on footage. I've kept hold of on my phone of what happened, and him losing it, throwing my scooter, my power chair that I had, throwing that out the car, kicking my mobility scooter, and then coming in and screaming and shouting at me and stuff, and trying to hug me and forcing, forcing himself. And I just thought, no, I kicked him off. Horrible. I mean, just stunk of drink. Yeah. And then the next day he got up and he went. And then I think he thought, give it so long, she'll have me back. And I didn't, because he kept saying, oh, no one's going to want you with all your health issues, your disabilities and stuff. No one's going to want that. Who'd want that? And sometimes I think to myself, who would want this? My skin, it looks as vile as anything, I'm in a chair. I know people have relationships with a person in a chair, but, I don't know. I do sometimes think who'd want this, but I think, no, I just don't want that life. I don't want it. He's nothing. And getting rid was the best thing I ever did. So I know that it can be hard, it can be lonely at times. I don't have a circle of friends or anybody to chit chat to, really. That's why I do these YouTube bits and all this sort of stuff, just to keep my mind ticking over, so I don't feel on my own. Because when I come away from my phone, there's nobody here really. My son is usually at college or at work or out with friends or at the gym, so he's busy. And he's at the age of where his life is just starting, adulthood and all the rest of it. But anyway, but for me, yeah, and that's why I sort of can't wait for my mate to come back and do a bit of cleaning and helping me out and stuff, because it's company at the same time, and we used to have a laugh and a chit chat and just really enjoy things. And yeah, I've enjoyed it, being around. But yeah, love, Valentine's, it's all a big joke. It's all nothing to me. And for me, I'd rather be on my own than with somebody that just makes me feel so low and miserable. And yeah, no, I don't want that. I know life's hard on my own, but I'd rather be on my own. I would. Anyway, I'm going to go because I've rambled on long enough, and I'm sure you must be bored listening to me rambling on. Yeah. So I'll catch you later. Thanks for listening, and bye.